Hey guys, Katie Plays here with a luxury condo-inspired Sims 4 speed build. This is Millbrook Rise, a condo-style home that is sure to be a hit with your modern upper-middle-class sim, and it's here to show you that a small lot doesn't have to mean small style. I built this house on a 20 by 15 lot in Newcrest, and it cost a little bit under 80,000 simoleons. It's 2-bedroom and 2.5 bathrooms. The download link is in the description below. So here I am building the main structure of the house. The idea that I had for it is kind of like those high-end condos that you would see in places like San Francisco and New York, where space is kind of at a premium and you get those really fancy small spaces to live. I wanted 2 stories because I wanted to make sure that there was going to be plenty of space for living in, and I deliberately chose the smallest lot currently available in-game because that's what best matched the idea that I had. The upstairs is a little bit of a jigsaw puzzle, and I went through and readjusted walls more than once throughout the video, trying to get everything right where I wanted it. There was kind of a lot to fit up there. I wanted to have the master bedroom, the master bathroom, a secondary bathroom, a kid's room, and originally I was thinking I would have another bedroom up there, but in the end it wound up being a gym. And then downstairs, it's a lot easier. It's got the half bathroom, an office, the kitchen, dining room area, and a living room. And right now I'm just building the little front patio area. I wanted it to be covered. I thought it would look really cute like that. And I also wanted to have a little decorative half wall up front. I changed my mind about the columns a couple times, and in the end I wound up just taking it out completely because none of them matched the style that I wanted. But I knew pretty quickly that I wanted to have some brick up front, and so that's why I wound up choosing the half walls so that I could paint it. The roof on this house was amazingly easy, and again, it made me oh so very, very happy. I promise I'll start branching out again on roofs soon and doing something that's not just these half-gabled ones, but they really fit the modern look so nicely that it's hard to want to stray from it. Once I knew that I wanted the black brick, I also knew that I wanted the main house to be wood, and it took me a little while to settle on which color that I wanted. But this light shade turned out really nice, I think. The overhanging on the second floor is a little bit frustrating because it doesn't look nice without trim on it, but the trim is done room by room, which also sometimes doesn't look so nice, so it takes a little bit of compromise to decide what you like. The other thing that took me a while was to decide how I wanted the extra accenty bits outside to look. I kind of liked those panels for a while, but then once I started getting more of the structure put in, I decided it wasn't really going to work with the doors that I liked. And for the foundation, I went with something that matched the little brick decorative wall. I think it pulls it all together really nicely. Then I couldn't decide what to do with that little tiny side piece on the balcony. Should it match the brick? Should it match the wood? Should it match the front door? Who knows? One thing that I did wind up doing that I liked a lot was making the first floor taller and leaving the second floor the same standard height. It gives it a little bit more visual interest, especially once that trim in between the floors went in. Plus, I really wanted an excuse to use one of the really tall doors. They're just so cool, and I never use them. I think I'm going to start doing that now. Then, of course, the porch needed a little bit of light. I spent most of my time actually getting the outside done before I started going inside, which is not what I've done for some of my past videos. I really liked that tall window that I put in the very front on the first floor, but unfortunately, none of the standard size windows match it. So I messed around with windows about 1,000 times before settling on these little triple pane ones. And then trying to decide where I wanted them on the house. I moved them a bunch of times to make them look right with the furnishings and still look good from the outside. Now that the outside is mostly done, it's time to start on the first floor and put the doors in for the office. I really loved the idea of a desk in the center of the room looking out of that big window. My desks are always against walls and it's just so plain and just so common. I was really excited for the opportunity to have a desk in the middle of the room and have it make sense. And I put in some lights and an easel and a bookcase, make it feel a little office-y. I really like those green lamps, so I decided to stick with the green theme and put in some green pattern on the wall that the desk is facing, and then a solid green for the rest of them, and a nice hardwood. Originally I thought maybe just the office and the entryway would be the hardwood, but I ultimately wound up pulling it through the rest of the first floor. Then there's the half bathroom, for when you're downstairs and just need to use the restroom really quick. It was hard to kind of decorate and make things look nice in there because it was so small and cramped. Items kept intersecting with each other. But I wound up getting a couple things in there and it gets the job done. I did decide that I wanted to keep going with the green theme though and put in a counter sink instead. I wasn't sure why some of the sinks wouldn't fit on it, but that one is fine. I like it. Tried to get a mat in there, decided I didn't like the look of it. Took me a long time to choose a paint for the main living area, and I wound up going with a really neutral color. Got some stairs in and had to readjust for the length of them. I really hope that sometime soon we get stairs that aren't so long. I really like the kind that double up on themselves. Next up is the kitchen. I learned that when you use tall walls, it's really hard to get the cabinets where you want them. In this kitchen, I actually used a set of the counters that I'd never used before, the Vault Modular set. They're very IKEA looking, and I'm surprised I've never used them. I guess it's maybe because they don't really look so much like counters with all that storage, but once everything was in there and all put together, I really loved the way that it looked. I changed the colors a few times. The matching between the counters and the cabinets works a little differently than some of the other ones do, and for a while I thought that they were mismatched, and it was driving me insane. But once I got some of the more modular pieces in, I kind of understood a little better what they were going for with it. One problem that I had for a little while that I managed to fix once I got cabinets in was how awkward it looks that the refrigerator is so much smaller than that freestanding piece, but you get enough cabinets in there and it works out okay. And for the refrigerator and stove, I went with one of the more kind of industrial looking sets and put everything in there as kind of shades of brown. Very different from anything that I've ever had in any of the houses that I play even, and anything I build. It's so much more neutral, and it was a really nice experiment, and I love the way it turned out in the end. So now I'm putting in just some of the kitchen knickknacks, and I come back and I do that some more later. That little wall planter, I think I put it in every single house that I make, but it's very versatile with all the colors, and it looks cute everywhere. I wanted it in the kitchen because it feels a little bit like an herb garden. So you're growing your, I guess not basil, I don't know what would be that small, but something indoor. When I was putting in some other stuff, I decided that it was a little bit small, so I had to make the house bigger and move it around to make room for the fire extinguisher, which led me to move the windows for like the umpteenth time. Once I was about to start putting in the dining room and I saw how much space there still was, I decided that instead I really wanted to put in a full bar that kind of wraps around. I don't think I saw any pictures of it recently, but I must have, and I guess I just thought of it, and I was like, oh, that would look really cute here. So it kind of wraps around a little bit, comes back into the kitchen, and I put some stools there, and it looks great. All that counter space, I'm super jealous. Then I put in some paintings. And in the end, I decided that even though it had all those bar stools, it still needed to have at least a little tiny dining area. So I put one in, scooched it over a bit, turned it offset so it didn't look quite so flush. And then it was on to the living room. I did the living room in kind of neutral shades with a little bit more muted colors. I really like that teal on the couch. It's gorgeous. I didn't put a whole lot into this living area, mostly just a couch and a TV and some decorations. Here I am trying to decide what plant looks best in that area. That plant is another one of my favorites. I think I use it everywhere. There I decided it needed just a little more seating. I really wanted a fireplace downstairs, but there was nowhere else really to put the TV, and that spot on the side just seemed like a really awkward place for it. I didn't think anybody would ever actually build a fireplace there, so I wound up sticking a bookcase in that space instead. And then I went through and recolored everything, made it look good together and look good with the kitchen. And then I went in to add some accent color. I settled on a nice warm looking yellow shade, and then I brought it into the kitchen and hallway a little bit, brighten things up. And then I changed the stairs, but I knew I wasn't going to get anything that I was happy with because the lighting on stairs just doesn't work right, and they always look way too dark, so it was a hopeless cause. I didn't spend too long on it. There I am playing Tetris with the upstairs again, trying to figure out where all my doors are going to go. I wanted them to not look weird together, but I also didn't want the hallway to look weird. And once it started looking like real Tetris pieces, I thought, no, time to go back to how it was. I'll just put some doors next to each other. The secondary bathroom is pretty straightforward. I didn't do too much fancy with it. It just got the basics, all the plumbing, a little bit of decoration in there. I was bummed to see that I couldn't really put anything on those empty cabinets. It was odd. I could have sworn that you could, maybe with Move Objects, but I didn't turn it on at that point. Then it was on to the master bathroom. I really wanted the great big tub in there. And, you can't have luxurious without having a big ol' soaker tub. So I went with the very modern looking sinks and the fancy toilet. Put in some decorations in there as well. Took me a little bit to find things that would actually fit on the bathtub that I liked the look of. A lot of things were too big. And then while I was there, I once again found things that I wanted other places in the house, so I jump around a little bit, placing items. There's so many sweet little bottles and stuff. I was bummed that they wouldn't fit on there. But a little planter is pretty cute. Now I'm painting it with most of the Spa Day tiles. It's such a gorgeous set. Everything in it is just beautiful. And with some more basics for the not master bathroom. Then for the master bedroom, I went with the red look. One day I'll stray. I'll use a different color besides red, I promise. It just looks so nice every time. Once I settled on the more modern dresser and mirror, I swapped the bed out for one that makes more sense in there. And match the dressers to it. And get a couple more plants. I really like those cheery, happy flowers on the dresser. And I love that drape behind the bed. I think technically it's a curtain, but it just looks so nice on walls behind beds. And now I'm putting knickknacks around the whole house. I really love the little boots. I saw a mudroom on Pinterest, and ever since then, when I saw the racks of shoes that came with Get to Work, I was like, well, that's my mudroom. The bedroom had a little bit of extra space, so I put an ottoman, and there's that fireplace that I wanted downstairs oh so badly. If I couldn't have it there, it would go in the master bedroom. That's cool too. It was really a lot of fun to do a master bedroom with so much extra space. Usually I just make them so utilitarian. It was nice to branch out a little bit. Here we have the kids' room. I really look forward to a stuff pack or expansion or whatever EA plans on doing to expand the kids' stuff a little bit more. This set is super cute, but there's only one, so every time I'm making a kids' room, I use the same furniture. And you can only use the colors so many times. So one day soon, I hope. I could download custom content, but that's the rabbit hole I'll never crawl out of. So for the bed, at first I didn't want to put it with the head kind of facing the door because that just seems not feng shui. I don't even know how you say that. But I figured with the desk in between the door and the bed, it wouldn't be so awkward. And those blinds didn't match, so I wound up taking them off. Then I went around and painted walls, and then repainted them and changed the floors. So this is the part where I decided to make a gym. I thought, my whole inspiration was the luxury condos that very important business people live in, and they're very expensive. And I figured those people would be too busy to go to an actual gym, and so they would appreciate having a gym in their house. So that room became the gym room. Got some mirrors, a treadmill, some weights, the yoga mat. I really love watching Sims do yoga. It's so cute. Didn't really like the way the treadmill looked in there, but there wasn't really much of a better option. I was hoping those racks could go closer to the wall. They can't. Just look at all that empty space. It drives me crazy. For a minute, I thought I could put in a dish rack that was closer to the same height as the fridge, but once I looked at them, I decided that I didn't love the way they looked in that space. Back to cluttering up the place. I will never get that all done in one step. Never, ever. Considering curtains, not loving them. Considering artwork. It's always artwork that can go up on the walls. Put a little bit of hand sanitizer in the office, or in the gym, I mean. More wall art, making the kitchen look a little more put together. And now some floor art, or rugs as they're more commonly called. One here, one there, one everywhere. Didn't like any of the ones in the bedroom with its current layout. Making that hallway look a little more welcoming. Now I had to adjust the windows again. So in the end, the master bedroom, like the bed area, wound up not centered with the windows, which kind of hurt me on the inside a little bit, but I wanted the windows centered, and I wanted the bed centered with kind of that main section of the room, and I wanted to be able to keep the ottoman and stuff, so you gotta do what you gotta do. It looks fine. I am happy with it, but it's that little bit of a twitch of, uh-oh, that's not centered. So after I moved my windows around, I had to move my artwork around also. And a couple other decorations had to go other places. At this point, I was really just nitpicking on the inside. And then it was time to start the landscaping. I wonder if other people do landscaping first, but for me it's kind of the finishing touches. I have to know how the inside looks before I know how I want the outside to look. Here I was just looking at the wall hangings. None of them worked for this house, but it's nice to see them. Keep them fresh in my mind for the next build. I guess a flower on that wall could have worked, but I wound up getting so much stuff in front of it that it wasn't really necessary anyway. Here I am still changing my mind about that one little wall tile. I think I had to move the house, but I don't remember why. Now I'm getting the dirt in around the foundation, and I made a nice big plot for where my plants are gonna go. Yeah, I just love how close to the edges this house got. Like, really my main goal was that little house for your little plot of land that you can afford in San Francisco. So now I'm just getting some flowers and rocks in. Everything was so short against that wall, I wound up using move objects to fill in some gaps and get some taller things in back. I'm just experimenting, looking at everything. It took me a good while to get something up there that I was happy with. So I took a break from there, realized I needed a spot to put the garbage can. And then I came back to flowers. I was just all over the place. That's how I work. I can't focus, I think. And so I just jump from here to there, doing whatever strikes my fancy at the time. I think that little bush tree in the middle is my favorite part of that entire little front garden. So now that the garden's done, it's back to figuring out a little side fence thing. I didn't have a very strong idea of what I wanted, which is why I had to look at absolutely everything. I liked the look of the clear, but decided that wasn't really going to hide the trash can very well, so I went back to a more solid fence. And tucked the mailbox into the garden, kind of out of the way, still welcoming and adorable. Hid the trash can a little better, popped a grill in front of it, put in a fireplace, and the last touch was that final little piece on the balcony. Wound up having to use move objects to get a plant on there. And I put a garden gnome in, because look at how happy he is. Yay, garden gnome! I was surprised that nothing would go up on that patio. I'm not sure if it was the light or the tree, or the light or the door or what, but move objects solved that problem. You gotta have a plant. And finally, I went in and put in a little row of narrow trees. I wanted something small that wasn't going to compete with the house. And I love that whole row because I could just picture a whole little row of these pre-built houses going in next door to each other, and that being the separation, which just really brought that whole original mental image together. So we're coming up on the end of this speed build now. I hope you like this house. It is, of course, for download on the Sims 4 gallery, and the link is in the description. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.